I was browsing the U-porns, towel placed on my knee. Mahubinated so hard, blood was mixed in with my pee. Then I found you guys, and it opened my eyes. Play Detroit by Dark. Hey, everybody, welcome to Detroit by Dark, the audio file, which is going to be on YouTube. I want to call it a podcast, but it's not really a podcast. I am James Pasque, and I'm here with a random guest host who may or may not stick around, Meytar from Israel. Welcome, Meytar.
Welcome. Thank you very much for hosting me.
I was just talking with Meytar. He said he's been to where I'm from, even though this is called Detroit by Dark. Currently, I'm currently broadcasting live from Los Angeles, California. Meytar was saying he does not like the culture here, and I understand. I have many friends who don't like the culture here. But whatever. We are something of a podcast. We are in development. Right now, I could say comedy, because everything I do, no matter how serious I want it to be, ends up being comedic. You could say Detroit by Dark was a role-playing game originally, but that's not what it is anymore. Though a lot of the people that are followers and fans here are still attached to that concept, in case you're into that world of darkness. What are your hobbies, Meytar? If you don't mind saying one or two hobbies.
Okay, the thing is that I like to travel, basically.
Wonderful. Is it true that there's a city in Israel called Pro Wrestling?
That there's a city that's called Pro Wrestling?
That was a joke for the kids. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about what is in the news. Let me clear my throat. Baltimore is in the news. In case you're wondering what time frame we're in, the Baltimore riots are today. The Baltimore riots started when a man was attacked by the police and his spine was severed. The police severed his spine. Now, the whole story, Meytar, is this. They attacked this guy. The police said he made eye contact with a police lieutenant. He made eye contact. He's a black man, an African-American, on the streets of Baltimore. He made eye contact with a police lieutenant, and then he ran. He may have ran because he had previously been arrested for drug possession, which in the United States could mostly means marijuana, or maybe, who knows, maybe he was picked up at some point for drug possession. Who knows? But anyways, it normally is not. I've never been to Israel. We normally don't execute people who are convicted of drug possession on the streets. He was hit so hard that he was screaming and was carried lifeless into the police van. Now, this is what they did, and they admitted to doing this, but you're not going to hear about this in the media too much. They took him on a 40-minute joyride, was what they call it, where he's supposed to be manacled, shackled in the van, but they don't. Even though he was, at that point, he couldn't even move his legs. They threw him in. He couldn't move his legs. He was paralyzed, I think, before they even threw him in. They threw him in. Then they took him on this joyride where they sadistically decided to let his body fly around in the van for 40 minutes.
But what was the crime that he
Well,
committed?
so far, all the police have admitted that the crime was making eye contact with a lieutenant and running. So he died.
In California?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Maryland. Okay. So, normally I run because my time is short, you know. And ironically, this guy died fast.
Yeah, well, he did die. I think he died after 24 hours. I don't know. It might have taken a few days. I'm sorry, everyone. I don't have the exact facts, but he died. He was 80. His spine was severed 80%. The immediate whitewash that you heard from the police before the facts came out, they were like, oh, he must have deliberately tried to harm himself in the police van. So the immediate, the lies that came out were just atrocious. And so right now, you have mobs of people rioting, running around, smashing bottles, smashing. Mostly it was a peaceful protest. There are some rioters now, but it was mostly a peaceful protest. But there was enough rioting that you can see mobs of people running through the street. And now you will hear on the news that they are called lawless thugs. But the truth of the matter is, there aren't that many lawless thugs to create that kind of mob violence in Baltimore. They are people that were angered. So I don't want to talk about it anymore for now because I want to keep going. Let me see if I can share a screen here. I don't want to share a screen. I'll just talk. Do you follow any podcasts, Meytar?
You mean regularly?
Yes.
Yes. There is a channel that I really like about China that I'm watching regularly. It's called China Uncensored by Chris Chappell.
I see. And you're into travel. You mentioned previous.
Yes, I like travel.
What is your, excuse my ignorance and my bluntness, what is your opinion on Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
I think that it's unjustified. The situation here is unjustified.
Unjustified? In what way?
What do you mean? In a racist way?
It's unjustified conflict. You're against the conflict.
Exactly. I'm against it.
Well, I don't want to...
Sorry, I just wanted to say that I am against it, but at the same time, it's almost important Arab friends because they see me as the enemy or something like this.
Exactly, I imagine. It's just like if you were in Hollywood, since you're Jewish, you would be seen as the enemy because we all know you own Hollywood. I will talk about the influences that I want, my influences, so people know maybe what I'm aiming for. Here's the thing, I'm a nobody. I have never done anything in my life. But the thing is, people, just because I've never done anything and have no skills and don't know anything, have no money or anything, doesn't mean I can't have a podcast. And the point is, Meytar, I'm not getting down on myself because I may not always be, even though my life is almost over. I may not always be a nobody. And I have a successful philosophy that I'm going to share over these podcasts with my viewers, which I guarantee you, and I'm not being at all sacrilegious by saying this, I'm being realistic by saying this. If you follow my success philosophy, in 10 years or so, you may be as popular, as influential, as big in the world, in world history, as Jesus. All right, Howard Stern, Artie Lang, Jim Norton, big, but they don't currently have podcasts. But Media Roots is a podcast I just looked into. I recommend you look into it. It's pretty cool investigative journalism. Eddie Pepitone's Pep Talks, Jay Moore. Race Wars is pretty interesting with Kurt Metzger and Sherrod Small. Doug Stanhope, amazing guy. I don't care who his guests are. I want to listen to every podcast. Louis J. Gomez, maybe. Bert Kreischer's podcast. Stephen Brody Stevens. Stephen Brody Stevens. You have to listen to Stephen Brody Stevens. Festival of Friendship. Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. Death Squad. For sure. Brian Redband. I'm sorry, I'm boring you there, but I'm almost through this here. What else? Death Squad. Democracy Now!, Legion of Skanks, The Nerdist, MMA Hour. Robert Kelly's You Know What Dude is an awesome podcast. Variant, really good. Pauly Shore's podcast show. Bill Burr, Monday morning podcast. Gilbert Gottfried, my absolute number one comedian of all time. Dr. Drew podcast, Star Talk Radio. Simply Don, the podcast by the comic genius himself, Don Barris. Kevin and Bean show, I guess. I'm not really too familiar with them. Adam Carolla show for sure. Joe Rogan Experience. Getting Doug with High. Duncan Trussell Family Hour. Ari Shaffir's Skeptic Tank. Ari Shaffir. Somebody really I want to watch, his career. And The Church of What's Happening Now is so funny. Joey Diaz and Lee Syatt are so great on that show. The Todd Glass Show, Paul Gilmartin's Mental Illness Happy Hour is one that defies categorization. It's so good. I won't say Mark Maron because I found out he's an asshole. He shits on his fans. He's one of those guys who has to have his have someone help him with his public persona, like a Bill Cosby, and it's disappointing when you discover those people. But everyone should in their life, or hopefully earlier in their life, discover someone like that. Doug Loves Movies. Doug Benson. And that's it. That is podcast heaven. Okay. These are all the greatest podcasters, all of the great. And you'll notice that there's a thread that runs through them. I was going to do negative testimonials, but I think I'm going to skip it. Okay. This podcast is going to be really personal because all podcasts are. That's what makes them great, is you can listen to a podcast and someone can get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of it, or a truck will roll by, or someone will get into a fight with someone, or someone will say something inappropriate and get themselves in a world of hurt over their actual opinion. Howard Stern once said he wanted to get into radio because he wanted to burp on the air. If he wanted to burp, he wanted to burp on the air. Be the first to do that. Podcasts are the first that you can shit on the air if you want. I'm sorry, everyone. That wasn't even funny. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, personal stuff. So I'm not going to get too much into it. I've already explained who I am in a very base way. I could say that's like the one thing I did today was make this up. I'm in dog care. One of my, I think everyone should get into their own business, should have a business. And mine is dog care. In 5 years, I've never lost a dog or even had a dog hurt under my care. And the secret to that is, and the secret of a good dog care business is, when the dog is asleep, take a look, and if there's flies buzzing around its nose or anus area, and the dog doesn't wake up, you can throw it away. All right, we're going to stop and go to a regular segment. I'm sure I'm losing you, Meytar. I cannot believe you're still here. We have 0 viewers. Oh, by the way, this episode is called 0 Viewers, episode number 1 of Detroit by Dark. And we're going to go to Meytar. Do you know any music? Would you like to sing something for us?
No, thank you.
Okay. We're going to go to the wall, where if you send me, I would love to get it in the post. If you want to send, if kids or adults want to send me pictures of the show, you can do funny sketches of Meytar or myself or things we talk about on the show. I'll put them on the wall, and then we'll sing a song. Oh my God, my webcam is dirty. And we'll scan. Oh, and apologies to Joss Whedon for using his theme song in our beginning of the show. If I might have to cancel this whole thing if he gets mad. So I'll sing a little bit. Play Detroit by Dark, a role-playing game in the Storyteller Hall of Fame. The players are, and I have no pictures right now, right? 0 viewers, everyone. This is the number 1, the debut show. We have 0, there's no. See that segment. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, plugs. Free plugs. All right, who is the sponsor of the show? There's no sponsor. I guess I'm sponsored by YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. YouTube allows us to make this video. YouTube. Awesome software on the interwebs. This show is brought to you by Pro Wrestling Israel. Pro Wrestling Israel, ladies and gentlemen. This show is brought to you by I want to talk about something else real quick about Baltimore. I want to ask you something, if you think this is right. They had a baseball game. The Orioles had a baseball game, and because there was so much rioting in the streets, they didn't allow the fans into the stadium, and the players just played. So, and they just played to an empty stadium. It's, to me, I don't think that's right. I think that baseball should be part of the community and not be like an elitist event where there can be like they on the 7th inning stretch where they traditionally sing "Take me out to the ball game, take me out da da da," and everyone stretches their legs. There's no one in the stands to do the 7th inning stretch. There's no reason to do the 7th inning stretch because there's no one in the stands for the first time in the history of baseball. And there's a reason why it's never been done, because it's fucking disrespectful to America to do it. It's disrespectful. If you're part of the community, respect what's going on in the community. To do that, there were people lined up outside singing. Well, they should have been singing "Let Me Into the Ball Game." But people were so afraid of the protesters. I would have loved to have seen them let them in. Yes, I recognize there may have been disruption in the stadium, but the answer would have been not to play the game. Okay, that's my feeling. Yeah. So this, one last thing about that. Thank you for staying around 0 viewers and Meytar. The customary 7th inning stretch song is replaced by the distant sound of people rioting. Think about that. All right. Those are the plugs. Nobody's sponsoring the show, of course. Media report. Everyone. I pretty much am a surveyor of the media. I do a lot of watching TV, like a lot of people, a lot of Americans. I watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of movies. Have to. Used to study that stuff in college, and I love it. And so let me just talk a little bit about the media a little bit. Boyhood. And Meytar, if you've seen any of these, please let me know. Thank you. Boyhood. Oh, by the way, I want more. I want to have a band. Eventually, we're going to have a live band, multi-camera setup. And the studio may move very soon. For a while, we may be live here, or we may move to Detroit. That's hence Detroit by Dark. Boyhood. I identify with the movie Boyhood because basically it's about a guy who goes, gets laid after like a 12-year dry spell. Once, but you know, you can always, once I had self-friendlinesses with 7 times. You know, I call it my own personal Furious 7. I like I have never really seen American Idol, and I do not like the movie American Sniper. But American Idol Sniper, I would watch the shit out of that. Also, another thing about American Sniper, which I like to get people to admit, Clint Eastwood, this is not even a joke. This is just my review of it. It might tell you should see this film because it's great fucking propaganda. It's ISIS propaganda. They want you to join ISIS if you watch it. Clint Eastwood meant for Chris Kyle to not be the hero of the piece. He meant for the hero of the piece to be this guy at the end, and I won't do any spoilers. He appears right at the end just for a few seconds, and he goes off to a gun range with Chris Kyle. He's the true hero of American Sniper because he's an American veteran. He's a victim of PTSD in far worse ways than Chris Kyle ever was a victim of PTSD. And he takes out the villain. He takes out the evil villain. And I think that's what Clint Eastwood meant, was the true hero of American Sniper is the guy who killed Chris Kyle. It's not laugh out loud funny. It's kind of like, I was watching a Marx Brothers movie the other day, not because I wanted to, but I was on YouPorn. I typed in vintage bears and cream pies. I'm not going to do the next joke. And I'm done. All right, everyone. James Pasque on Twitter. James Pasque, JamesPasque. Meytar, any plugs or anywhere people can reach you?
Oh, sure. You can just type my name in YouTube or Facebook.
Meytar on YouTube or Facebook. He's from Israel, and thank you for hanging out the whole show, everyone. Detroit by Dark weekly podcast. Thanks for watching.